Welcome to Hexology. I'm Water Elemental.
And I'm What Do.
And today we're going to be going over two key important events in Hex, the beginning lore of the game, and the Primals, the gods of the universe, I guess.
Yep, specifically kind of the beginning of this conflict that has come within the world.
It's been 1,000 years since there was peace.
So, everything at first was going fine. There was blood magic and there was wild magic. And they kind of kept each other in check. They were doing just fine.
A lot of, natural magic, nothing like really out of the ordinary to it. There wasn't anything like, there was life magic and then there was nature magic. Nothing weird about it. It's just kind of how things were. Mm-hmm. And then something happened.
So, from outer space,
a giant meteorite made out of these giant, these gems, primarily sapphires, rubies, and diamonds, face plants through the planet.
And when we say through the planet, we mean it goes in one side and then out the other side.
And creates these two volcanoes, giant volcanoes on both axes of the Earth, or not this Earth, but of Entrath,
yep.
The name of the world. And it just essentially just leaves these two giant volcanoes and goes through the Earth and is now in place into orbit.
And it scatters these gems that were previously mentioned all over the rest of the planet. And it is important to say that that didn't kill everyone somehow.
Yeah, people survived.
Yes.
It's like a second coming, essentially, where here was the world before, and then here's the world after. Mm-hmm. And with these gems brought new magic and new, channeling forces to this world. So a lot of new and crazy things were just introduced in a blink of an eye as things just ripped through the planet.
Indeed. In fact, it gave birth to a number of godlike beings that are known as primals. There is one for, as far as within the game itself, there's one for every color.
But there's only 3 that we know of at the moment.
Indeed. Which we know of the 2 that, because inherent to the world was nature magic and blood magic. And so those 2 primals, I assume, were there before before the hit of the comet. The first one being
Titania, the queen of the Elven court.
Titania is the primal of the nature magic.
And kind of the head of the Elven religion.
Mm-hmm. As well. So it looks like, and it does say that she's 1,000,000 years old. And it is important to say that they are godlike beings. However, they can die.
They are.
It is possible. It was said in the description on the website that the primal of wolves, called Lyke, shattered herself in order to spread out her power amongst
her children.
Her children. So they can die, but it's not exactly easy at all.
I feel raid bosses coming.
Mm-hmm.
One thing she mentioned is that she has control over these wild magic energies. That means she creates, wild dragons and primal folk like Trents and tree creatures, stuff like that. So all of the enemies we're going to be seeing from the nature area and a lot of, third-party monsters and stuff like that we'll see have been created by her. So if, you're undead or something like that and you're fighting against these trees, blame her. That's all I'm saying.
Essentially. The next primal that existed beforehand was the primal of blood magic, Zentoth, who is known as the Spider Mother, and actually gave birth to the Venom, who, if you're not familiar with them, they're the half spider, half orcs, which we don't know too much as far as where Zentoth comes from, but as how she gave birth to the Venom was that there was a scouting party of orcs that were going underground and happened upon a pool of blood. And apparently this was something sacred and important to Zentoth, so she ate them and gave birth to them as half spider, half orcs afterwards.
Kind of as a curse, have been pushed away from the orc clans and created their own race underground.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't much known about Zentoth right now, or Zenoth. We're going to pronounce these names horribly wrong until we get official names. Be warned. And we don't know what's going to happen, if we're going to be involved with her more, if we're going to see her later on in the life of the game, or we just haven't had an official announcement. But she has been mentioned several times in the lore, so she has a major hand in most of it.
Absolutely. It'd be different. We'll have to see as far as how important, or how, if we actually see her in the games, since she is basically the god of the Venom religion. So it would be a very, very important character that would be you would have limited access to as a player, even if you were a Venom, and a high-ranking one at that.
Again, another character that would either be a raid, a dungeon, or some sort of event in-game that we would see either firsthand or through a lot of smaller events like a dungeon.
Yes.
Like maybe finding a bunch of blood monsters or something like that, and then your cards would be like spit out the venom.
Something along those lines.
And the third god we currently know about, we're going to butcher this, KOG'TEPETL the Mountain.
I'm going to say KOG'TEPETL. Hold on, KOG'TEPETL.
We practiced this.
KOG'TEPETL.
We're going to name him Cog.
Yeah, that makes it easy.
All right. Cog was created after the events of the meteorite cutting through the planet. And because of that, he's been created as the home of the orcs and the homeland. And he's a very scary mountain with a face.
Mm-hmm. And similar to how Zentoth was the god of the Venom religion, KOG'TEPETL is worshipped as a god of the regular orcs. So, very interesting dynamic between two competing religions.
The orcs have religious gladiator fights to kind of appease the mountain god. And by this, they have the gladiators fight, and the vanquished gladiators' blood would drip down through these holes and then feed cocktails. So I'm guessing that this mountain is very, very cannibalistic. Well, not really cannibalistic, because mountains would have to eat other mountains to be cannibalistic. Very blood hungry.
A mountain-eating mountain.
Mountain on mountain action.
Oh God. Oh, the rule 34. Okay, he seems like a very not friendly looking guy. I imagine this would be a very interesting location. Traveling inside of KOG'TEPETL might be a very high-level dungeon, given the importance of the region. We'll just have to see. I mean, can't really tell.
Yeah, and what's funny about this is everything about this mountain is essentially ritualistic, and that kind of feeds into the orc play. Mm-hmm. Very spiritual, very ritualistic. They're high clerics. Before you can even address them, you have to dip yourselves in these magical pools of what is believed to be his blood before you can even request an audience with him. So this mountain is their key thing, and if anything would happen to it, that could cause some very special effects and stuff like that. So again, this is something that
later events
is something great to know when you jump into this game. Is okay, this is a point of interest. Not only a point of interest, it's a body of interest and a spirit of interest. Everything about this mountain is interesting. From the face to the blood to the orcs to the fact that he eats mountains. Non-canon.
A mountain-eating mountain.
That's really it about the Primals and the origin of Hex. If you guys want to learn some more lore or look at any deck rulings or anything like that as the alpha progresses, we'll be updating constantly. So subscribe down below and check us out on our Facebook page, Spasta Gaming. And we'll have anything else you need to know. This has been Water Elemental.
And what do?
We're working on a better intro. We promise. I'm sorry. We love you.